Hello and welcome to this video where I'm going to be going over for each loops in Blender 4.3. This is a new GeoNodes feature that we've been given, and it's really cool for procedural modeling. I want to show you some of the stuff it can do. So I'm going to go ahead and make a for each element zone on this GeoNodes object on this cube, and you'll see immediately that it's a little bit weird. It's a little bit different to the loops we've been given before, but if I just start connecting up some geometry here, you'll see that even though we have actually no geometry stream in the middle here by default, we can still see our original cube here. But if we plug into this second output, it's gone. So this second output is based on what happens inside this loop, and this first output is sort of like just a pass through as far as I can tell. So it just passes like the original geometry back out again. Now if I plug this element into the geometry, you can see we get a bunch of points, and that's because we've set this to loop through every individual point, and then at the end of the for loop it combines it all back up again into basically one element. So yeah, we have this element, and if I view it, you can see that we have an individual point of our cube, and I can change this to any data type that we have. I'll set it to be a face, and we see we have an individual face of the cube. And basically this allows us to do any operation on this individual face and then join them all back up at the end again to make our generated output. So now you'll see we just sort of have our original cube output in this generated point here. But I could say transform geometry in here, and I could transform the geometry based on this index, and you can see we move every face by some weird amount. So the amount that we're actually moving it by here is this index value, and this index value is just going to be 0 for the first element, 1 for the next element, until we get to the end. So if I combine this into an X, maybe that will make it a bit more clear what we're actually doing. We are on the first loop moving something by 0, on the second loop moving a face by like 1, this might have been over here, say move to there, and then moving it by 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. So we're basically moving each face by some integer every frame. And let's say we wanted to move each face randomly, we could do that too. So I'll add in a random value node, and this is going to be interesting because we are going to get a red line by default. And what that basically means is the way this random value works is based on context. So it grabs the ID of this geometry, and it will basically try and generate a random value for every single point. So you can see in the viewer here, like we have like some points have random values of like -1 and some of 1. We basically want to make a random value that is consistent across the whole geometry piece. So we can go ahead and use the index as the ID, and now this makes a random value that is consistent across the whole element. So I can go ahead and move each individual face by some random amount now, and that's pretty cool. We can do this with any nodes in geometry nodes, and we could never achieve this effect with a transform geometry outside of this loop zone because we will just be transforming the whole mesh. But now the whole mesh just counts as an individual face, so that's pretty cool. So now what can we actually do with this on a practical level? Well, let's do an example where we have, say, let's make a little node group off to the side here where we take a sphere, and we want to make like maybe some debris or just some rocks or something like that. We'll make like a procedural rock generator. Let's go ahead and just do something with a set position and a noise texture. And let's say this is our low poly rock generator, right? And we're really happy with it, and we want to make 1,000,000 iterations of this with different parameters for like this noise and the scale of this and everything. We want to randomize all these parameters. So what we can go ahead and do is let's say we group this up, and we call this our rock, and we can go ahead and expose some inputs to this that we might want to change, like say the radius, the scale of this noise texture, the scale of the displacement, and we'll go ahead and rename this one so it's a bit more clear. And yeah. Let's go ahead and now connect this to the output. And what we're doing might seem a little bit weird because we're putting this cube in, but we're not actually outputting the cube anymore. We're outputting something just completely different. But I'll show you why I'm doing this. So if I add in a random value now, I plug the index into the ID like we did before, set the scale to this. Now what we actually have are multiple rocks that are overlapping one another. And to see them better, I'm going to transform them based on their index. So let's go ahead and do that quickly. Let's add in a combine XYZ, and let's just slide them on the X based on their index. And I'll multiply it by, say, 2, so they're 5 times further apart than they were before. And now let's just play with this random value seed, and you can see what we're actually doing is creating different variations of this rock based on this parameter. For the number of times will be equal to the number of faces on the original input. I'd probably recommend doing this with points and just adding in like a points node that just this count will then define how many like versions of the rock you have now, rather than like using a cube, which is kind of weird. But yeah, we could never achieve this kind of effect before. You could only like instance this rock on the points, and if we wanted different variations before, we would have had to literally duplicate this up like however many times you wanted a variation, change the parameters and join it all back up again. So this is just so much cleaner, and I'm very excited about this new feature. Yeah, so let's randomize like all the parameters. So we can randomize the radius like from 0 to like whatever value we want. I'll change the seeds so they're not all like the same random offsets here, and I'll do the same like over here, and plug this into like the noise scale and maybe make that like 4 or like maybe 1 and 0 or something. And we can basically like create all these variations for free basically. So yeah, it's a very cool feature that we have now. And you could you don't have to use a random value. You could say, if you wanted to see what this looked like as you like incremented a value, for example, you could go ahead and like map this range, and you'd probably want to map it to be the max would be this count over here. So let's add in an integer node, plug that into the count so it's like 5, and then this will become our from max. And now I can remap this to the scale, and now as the loops progress, we basically say the scale goes from 0 to 1. So yeah, we can like maybe make that go like even more crazy, so we can see what effect the scale has on the rocks. For example, if we wanted to like debug it or test different values, we could like render this out as like an example. There's like loads of things you could do with this, and it's also like really useful for procedural modeling too. So I'm going to go ahead and show you this file that I made, where I'm just basically making this procedural plank setup, and this is inspired by a Houdini tutorial that I saw using a for each loop in Houdini, and I've just sort of translated all this into geometry nodes. So you can see that we're looping through each face of this grid, and I'll turn off these array modifiers. I have to tile this, but yeah, that is one of the features of this system. It does tile. So you can see that we're splitting this grid up into its individual faces, transforming those faces based on the index. And what's happening with this is we're basically, to explain this, we are, if I just output this section only, so initially we're just taking the index and modulating it, so it varies between 1 and 2 basically. So yeah, I can control like the sort of frequency of the repetition with this modulo. If I mute it, you can see we just move them based on the index, what we're just doing, but modulating it is just a way to get it to go jump back and forth between 0 and 1. So yeah, and then we divide that by 2 to center them up and stuff. Then I add in a random offset to this based on, you know, the same concept, the ID into the random value, transform them on the X, and then I do some rotation and scaling on them by converting them to instances. And one thing that you will have to take note of is that when you're doing transforms, when you're doing scales and rotations, your origin point for those scales and rotations will actually be the origin of the object, not of the element. So you will have to do some cheats, because you can see that this is kind of just scaling them like in a weird way. They're not scaling based on their local origin. So In order to do that, I had to convert them to instances, and then we get this center input, which essentially allows us to use the bounding box information to make sure that they scale based on their local center. So yeah, that's all that's doing really. And same with this rotation, you know, instead of rotating about like the world center, they'll rotate about like their local centers. And then yeah, well, I can extrude them. We can do any modeling operation we want on these elements, and then they'll all get combined at the end. And yeah, this makes a perfectly tiling system, just because of the way this is all set up with the transforms. Like as one transform's to the left, it will, you know, that same offset will be valid when you repeat the whole pattern. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And I'm quite excited to see what people can do once they start getting into procedural modeling with this new loop. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. I hope this cleared some stuff up about the new loop type we have, and yeah, I look forward to seeing what you do with it. So one thing I think I should mention about the new for each loop is I haven't gone very in depth with the inputs and outputs here. I've just sort of been giving you a rough overview, sort of going over the concept of it. But just know that the attributes that you input are basically converted to single values evaluated at each element. So instead of working with fields in the for each loop, you'll work with like individual numbers instead, which is quite a nice way of working. But I haven't gone too in depth or shown you any of that yet. It's more of like an advanced thing. I think I'll go into that in maybe future tutorials. But yeah,